As the desserts are being served, we'll go ahead and start the rehearsal dinner speeches. So if you could get settled, that would be great. And I'd like to take a moment just to thank the staff here at Purcell Farms, especially Susie and Sean. Thanks for the music, and the staff in here. Please give them a round of applause. Really appreciate you guys serving us tonight. And I wanted to start the evening. This is my third rehearsal dinner speech. These two young ladies over here, I was fortunate enough 3 and 4 years ago to speak at their rehearsal dinners, and I enjoyed every moment of that. And they were asking me if I was going to sing tonight, and the answer is no singing tonight. So you're safe. I think Reese might sing, but we'll see. But I wanted to also take a minute, if you would give me the privilege of recognizing my wife. Wait. I'm not sure I can get another sentence out of my mouth, but she is the love of my life and just the most special person that I've ever met in my entire life. She's servant to the end, no selfish bone in her body. She is loving. She is a truth teller. And she loves like nobody else. And so I just wanted to take a minute to tell her how much I love her. And Ellie Harrison would not be the man he is today without Allison as his mother. She has loved him, prayed for him, supported him, and encouraged him. And so I just wanted to thank you publicly for all your love and service over the years. And to the Ham family, there are a lot of things we could say to express our love for you guys. Tremendous amount of things. Just pick a couple. One is we have a common bond in Christ. Period. We love the Lord. All of us do, and that's our most favorite thing about your family. And the second thing is the gift of Ellie. We love Ellie. Harrison loves Ellie, but we love her independent of Harrison as well. And Ellie, we're looking forward to you and your mom and dad and brother and sister and all your family being part of ours, and we hope it's vice versa as well. And so there are just so many things we love about you guys. One of the more important things is really 3 John. There's a little verse in there. I was talking to Tyler Wise about it when he was baptizing his son a few months ago, and the verse it says, "There's no greater joy than to know your children are walking in the truth." There is no greater joy. And so we collectively, I'm sure, share the same sentiment that we love who you guys are, and there's no greater joy we have that knows that you know the Lord. And it's harder to express anything that I'm more grateful for in life. And the same thing with all our children. And so thank you, Ham family, for being part of our family. We look forward to spending many years with you and enjoying one another and enjoying Ellie and Harrison. Ellie, I want to say a few words to you. We have been praying for you, Allison and I have, since before you were born, when Harrison was born. And we didn't know your name until about 3.5 years ago. But we've enjoyed our experience with you. You are lovely in every way. You have so many great qualities about you. You're a lot like me, actually. You're diligent, you're organized, you're focused, you're goal-oriented, you're all those things, but beyond of things we might share in common, you're beautiful inside and out. And you're a brown-headed girl because, according to Harrison, blondes are too bossy. And so Allison knew from the time he was young, he wasn't going to marry a blonde-headed girl. So we're so glad you're here tonight, and you're the perfect bride for Harrison. And so we just love you to death. I'm going to keep on track here, and don't worry, I'm not going to go through all these things. Ellie, the other thing I wanted to talk about is Harrison has 3 mamas. He's got these 2 girls over here and one there, and he has been raised well to be a great boyfriend, fiance, and a husband. And I'm confident with that, beyond any doubt that he'll be a great husband. But his middle name, he was named after his two great-grandfathers, and his middle name is William. And William means protector. And he will not only protect, he's like the guy in the Blindside. He's that kind of person, but he's a protector. Protect your heart, and he will protect you physically. And I'm super confident that he will do a great job with that in both of those areas. There are a couple moments that we've had over the years. One of the moments was with Connor and Jesse. We had a shower. We had a wedding shower for them in Charlotte a few years ago. And Ellie, we were just getting to know her, so Ellie shows up, and we were all sitting around a table, and it was on Zoom. It was kind of a COVID thing, so some of us were together, some of us were on Zoom, and Ellie was there. And so right when it started, I looked at Ellie, and I said, "Ellie, what do you like about Harrison?" And she looked up, and that dimples came, just smiling, and she goes, "Everything." And we knew right then it was over. It was done. When Ellie shines those nipples, man, he doesn't know his name. He doesn't know what planet he's on. He's just gone. He's done. And so Ellie, we knew right then and there that it was over with him. And I think you guys were pulling out of the driveway. It was the same trip. And the next thing we knew, the Fam Jam text was changed. Like the group text, the name of it was changed. It used to be Fam Jam plus Ben, and then it was Fam Jam plus Connor. And then she was pulling out of the driveway. They changed it to Fam Jam plus Ellie, and tomorrow it's just going to be the Fam Jam on our side. So we had a kind of the double whammy effect that weekend with you, which was great. I would also say, and I'm sure there's some other people that are going to talk about this, but we also knew your love for Harrison was blossoming when you not only allowed but embraced his style of music. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? And so that's all I'll say about that tonight. Then I'll say just a couple other things. On your graduation, Ellie, your dad and I had a moment. So your grandmother, from the time you were young, I understand you were really wanting this baby smock dress, right? So you were really wanting it for your great-grandmother, excuse me. I think this thing might have gone off. Anyway, while they're working on this, the great-grandmother, she always wanted this nice baby smock dress. She had this thing from dolls, I understand. And so Reese and I were hanging back. It was graduation, and this is last year. And she does the Reese and I are hanging out, and this smock dress comes out. And Reese and I look at each other and we're like, she was so excited about it. And so first, I leaned over to him. I said, for a second there, I thought they were going to tell us we were going to be grandfathers. Now it's okay. Starting tomorrow, it's going to be okay. Ellie, I'll just give one piece of advice to you. Every man craves respect. That's out of Ephesians. And so my piece of advice to you would be respect Harrison all the way along in marriage. And it will pay huge dividends. He will crave that. And if you give that to him, you'll have a marriage that honors him. And I'll give a couple of pieces of advice to you, my man, here shortly. So to Harrison, thank you for selecting me as your best man. I have always been your best man. I will always be your best man. I couldn't be more proud of you. I respect you. I love you. And I'll love you till I'm not here anymore. But I'm thankful. I had a cancer about 2 years ago, and I didn't know if I would have this moment with my son and his bride-to-be. And I'm thankful for those in the room that have prayed for me, but I'm also grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. And tomorrow, I'm really grateful to be celebrating one of life's most precious memories. It's going to be an incredible memory for you two with the worship ceremony, with your family. It's just going to be an incredible moment and one of the best moments that we'll have, Allison and I, in our entire lives. And we're proud to share that with you. I'm happy to be here and really, really grateful. Harrison, there's in Proverbs 23, there's 24 and 25, it says, the father of the righteous will greatly rejoice. He who fathers a wise son will be glad in him. Let your father and your mother be glad. Let her who bore you rejoice. We rejoice in you, and we're glad. You're a wonderful son and a wonderful human being. Harrison, as I did with Ellie, I'll give you one piece of advice out of Ephesians 5. Ellie will crave your love. She will crave your love. And to the extent you can sacrificially love her with all that you have, your marriage will flourish in it. And so in the words of Cadillac Williams, serve her. Serve. Serve her with all you have and love her with all you have. So on a lighter note, we thought we were great parents when Harrison was born. We had these two wonderful, great girls. Harrison came into the world. He interrupted my Beaver Creek ski trip. Doggone it. It was a tough time. He was 6 weeks early. He was 8 pounds, 12 ounces, and entered in the world just as an absolute chaotic moment. And when he was young, he was fearless. He was sometimes challenging. On occasion, during the middle school years, he was downright obstinate. And Hebrews 12:6, it says, for the Lord disciplines the ones he loves. For the Lord disciplines the one he loves. I sure love that boy. So when he was in middle school, we had this thing called Seek the City. And Seek the City was about 250 kids. They come along 24/7 for a whole week. We split up into groups. Each group there were about 30 different ministries around Charlotte. And Harrison had the draw of this place called Carrington. And Carrington was a place where primarily you had 80 and 90-year-old people who had the inability to communicate, and they had the inability to move around. And so they were kind of in a tough spot. Well, the man had a whole week there, and he didn't really love that, but he got that experience. And so a few weeks later, I had the opportunity to discipline him a little bit more for some other reason. I don't have any idea what I was doing, or what I was disciplining him for, but we had a moment. I walked out. I stayed about 15 minutes away and came back 15 minutes later. And he was sitting on his bed. And I said, man, I love you. We reconciled. We hugged. We talked it out. And then I got over. I walked out. I was walking out. And he said, hey, Dad. I turned around and said, yeah, buddy. And he said, you better be nice to me. I said, why? He said, because when you get old, I'll put you in Carrington. So I've been nice to him ever since. When Harrison was growing up, we initiated a few things to really help him understand what biblical manhood looked like. And we had this thing. I'll tell you 3 things we did. The first thing we did was a manly list. So Harrison and I had this manly, only the guys could do this stuff. And so every Saturday morning we would get up, and for about an hour, we'd do chores. We'd change light bulbs. We'd hit the sprinkler system. We might do something in the pressure washer. But it was always something to help him understand we have responsibility. We have priorities. We need to keep our things in good order. Basic things like that. And so we had the manly list. I would encourage you to have a manly list somewhere along the line. You said no. Oh, and I understand at fraternity, you guys had one of those magic erasers that you scrubbed the baseboards with at one point in time. He called me. He goes, Dad, you won't believe this, man. We're doing magic erasers on the baseboards. It's unbelievable. I can't get away from this stuff. The other thing we did was Thomas May. We took a trip with your dad called Lead with Character, and we went from Charlotte up to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and we had a great time there. But it was basically delving into the Civil War characters and leaders and talk about biblical manhood and what that looked like. And that was one of Harrison's, I think that was his favorite trip until a few years later. But that was his favorite. He called it a vacation. But it was about 50 men that went from ages 12 to about age 65. And we just had a great time studying. But one of the things in there that Thomas, your dad, gave us, there's a verse out of Corinthians, it's 1 Corinthians 16:13. And one of the things for Harrison was, what that verse says is, be alert, stand strong in the faith, act like men, be strong. That's what that verse says. And so what does it mean to act like a man and be in biblical manhood? And so what this lead with character, I've had this saying for about, 12 years now, something like that. What this says, and the man who you are, Harrison, tell the truth. Be obedient. Do your best. Be brave. Be gentle with girls and ladies. Take responsibility for your actions. Be determined. That's a pretty cool thing for all of us to live by. But those are the things Harrison's learned, and as a dad to a son, you have done those things well. And Ellie, he's prepared. He's well prepared. And the last thing we did to be intentional about what biblical manhood looks like is we had this thing. We formed it. There were 5 dads, and there were 6 young men. And we started it in middle school, and we wrapped it up in kind of midway through high school. And it's called Raising a Modern Day Knights by Robert Lewis. But we took that book, and we had this thing called Modern Day Knights. And so part of the Modern Day Knights, we met once a month. We had a lot of fun, did some games, played goofy stuff, did some activities, ate, and then we had a devotion. Well, the premise of that was really threefold, and that is to really give them a vision for biblical manhood, to give him a code of conduct, and to have him have a transcendent cause outside of himself. And so, Ellie, we talked about this being raising a modern day knight. Well, the Lord has raised your modern day knight for you tonight and for you tomorrow, a knight in shining armor and a man who loves God. So, joy. Last, I wish you success. And what do I mean by that? When I think about the definition of success in Matthew 22, the definition of success is love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, everything you have. And that's success in life. And to love others as yourself is the second greatest command. So those two things, love God and love people, is the definitions of success. Doesn't matter about money, doesn't matter about other things in life, those two things. And so I wish you all the success in life together. And we're 100% behind you. And I'll close on this. If you raise a glass to Ellie and Harrison. My grandmother, we call her Gigi, my mom's mom, had this hero in the faith, Corrie ten Boom. Some of you might have heard of her, but she's a great hero in the faith. And she has this quote, and she says, and this is what I wish for you. If you look at the world, you will find distress. If you look within, you'll be depressed. If you look at Jesus, you will find rest. So here's to Ellie and Harrison. God be the glory. Woo!
I really don't feel old enough to need reading glasses, but I do. But I guess I am, since I am the father of the bride, so I hear. First of all, thank you, everybody that's here. The underlying thing and the theme of tonight is that each and every person here has a part of their lives. No matter how long you've known them or how short of a period you've known them, each one of them, you are a part of what is about to become tomorrow. And so I want to thank you for coming for that. If I get a tear tonight, I can assure you it's happiness. Harrison, happiness, because I could not have asked for a better husband to be. To you, Ellie, I love you. Easy to say. I have no regrets. And tonight I am privileged to give you the opportunity to marry Harrison tomorrow. And so, as I think of tonight, I always think of spiritual markers. And we've had these discussions at dinner, and we go through these, and I go back on my life, and I think there are certain opportunities or certain decisions that I made that God put in front of me that changed my life. And so I go back to Ellie's, and I can think of them from day one. When she was born, she knew what she wanted. And the first thing was, I can tell you, was to not be in a car seat. This little 7-pound child could stop herself from being in any car seat, and she knew she did not want to be in a car seat. But as her life moved forward, as she was a 5-year-old little girl, as the teacher to every American Girl doll that they made was the classroom. But she had them lined up in order, as you said, I believe just like you, in order. But she knew what she wanted. She knew what the outcome was. And the outcome was that I'm going to teach you something and you are going to learn it. Am I right? Yep, that's right. And so the next marker that I believe is I had an opportunity to start going to Belize and serving in Belize. Changed my life. She's here because of it. But I got to take Ellie to serve in Belize with me and our family. And I will never forget, I believe she was 12 or 13, and she and I went to Belize, and we taught sex education to other 12 and 13-year-olds. But what I learned was that she had already accepted Christ, and she knew who her Savior was, but she also knew what she wanted, as didn't want to be in a car seat, but she also knew that she was going to wait for that one perfect person. And she taught 12 and 13-year-old kids in Belize who had said that they had done many other things that we could ever imagine, and taught them why she was going to wait. And so the next marker that I would say in Ellie's life is Crestridge. Changed her life. Macy's here because of it. Sought the internet, thank goodness for the internet, needed a place to go to camp where she felt God could challenge her. And she found Crestridge in North Carolina. She chose it. We said, okay. She went, and 2 weeks later when we picked her up, she was a changed little girl. And I saw what her obedience meant in lives. And Macy is a testament to that. And then the final one is the best of all, or we wouldn't be here tonight. So Ellie, she knew what she wanted, but she also knew she didn't want to do everything that everybody else did, and that was she didn't want to go to Auburn. Everybody else was going to Auburn. I am not going to Auburn. So I had the privilege to go to Ole Miss, as did you. Yeah. And we went to Ole Miss, and we got to go to a football game, and I'm just going to tell you, if there are Ole Miss fans in here, it's just not the same. It is not Jordan-Hare Stadium. And Lizzie's looking at me, and she's like, Dad, they're in some blue. What is the... And then they would say, first down, Ole Miss. And then they were wearing a shark, and Lizzie was lost. But Ellie was, I thought, oh my gosh, she is going to Ole Miss. And it was probably 2 months later, all of a sudden I got a text, and it was an eagle, and it said War Eagle. And I thought, the Lord has come. Not only did I get her to go to Auburn, where John Reese already was, which in my life as the dad, I thought, I've got to have my kids together. But she knew what she wanted, and all of those choices, in addition to when the first time that I got to see her after she had gone on the first date with Harrison, which she told us that she knew what she wanted, and that was Harrison, was that Ellie had learned at an early age that whatever that decision was, if God put it there in front of you, and as uncomfortable as it may be, she stepped into it. and she did it. And we are here today because of your obedience, and I love you for that. Harrison, the first date for you did not go as good as you thought it did, just so you know. I'm laying in the bed. It's probably 10 o'clock at night, 9:30, and these cell phones have tracking on them, and so Lisa's over there tracking her phone, and she's like, oh my gosh, she's in the railroad, and they went to downtown Opelika for dinner. And Lisa's watching, and I said, Lisa, just put the phone up. I told her to take her mace. She had her mace. Harrison, we had her protected. All was good. And it kept pinging back and forth across the railroad tracks. And Lisa is, coming unglued. I thought, oh my gosh. And thank the Lord, she got back to the dorm. And she told her mother that night that she was going to marry him. So all of that, she knew from the start what she wanted. But Harrison, for you, that first date, you didn't know what you were getting into. But when I saw you after that, when you opened the door for my daughter, and you put her in the car, that's what my granddad did. That's what my dad taught me to do. You got me. And as a dad, I can tell you that is, as a dad of a daughter, if I can see protection and taking care of her, I was sold. And then the final spiritual marker that I saw in Harrison was when he called us and told us about Harry. We prayed with you. We prayed for you. And I saw a changed man after Harry made it through the sickness. And I want to take an opportunity to say that from our family, the Ham family, to see someone we felt pretty confident was going to take care of Ellie for the rest of her life, to have Harry here tonight is a blessing. And we are blessed for that. So Harrison, you turned into a man after that, and God took care of that. And so we are blessed for that. And finally, Lisa, you were my best friend. The day that you chose me when I walk across the Huntington Green, when you chose me, of all the ones rocking across the Huntington Green. But as a wife, a friend, a mother who I could not have asked for better, and a supporter, thank you for being all that you were to Ellie, and to being her mother, her best friend, and becoming her best friend. I love you. My advice to you two is very simple. It comes straight out of the Bible. Number one is put Christ first, and there is no doubt in my mind that's what you're doing. Number two is, Ellie, as your dad, I say submit to Harrison as submitting to the Lord. And in Harrison, you love her just like Christ loved the church. And my last piece of advice is there will be disagreements. You will not be happy. And even if they lock you in the garage, which I've been there, do not go to sleep with that disagreement still on the table. And the other thing that I would say is us being apart is never part of the equation. We're going to settle it. And so with that, I would ask everyone to raise a glass. We love you. We're praying for you. And we look forward to seeing the family that God brings for you. Hear, hear.
I'm gonna stay right here. Hey. Okay, I'm really terrified right now. Okay, sorry.
try not to cry. Ellie, Harrison, I'm just glad what God just made y'all just. It's just beyond what God can just do and all that, and it's just amazing what God can do and all that. It's just.
Okay, stop.
But Ellie, I'm glad that you're my sister. You are so smart. You're very, very, very smart. I love all the memories that we have in Hungary. Playing on the playing with baby dolls and feeding them dry rice. That was pretty fun. In the kitchen. I remember that we always were on the cell phones, but we're just playing on the cell phones, just not really connected, but all the time, just rambling Hungarian words, and you didn't know any of them, but you just try to be your best, and you always are. I remember that you had a nightmare, and you came to my bed, and I got terrified when you woke me up. Yeah, and I remember you said, I had a nightmare and all that. Can you please sleep with me? So I had to think. I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, all right, I'll come with you. So it was really fun, and I got to sleep with you when you had that nightmare. And I do not know what that nightmare was. Yeah. I remember that you asked Mom to have a little kid or adopt or something. Now you do. You got me. You got me. I'm glad that you found a good-looking husband. I mean, come on. Come on. Harrison, it's always fun to play cards with you and your family, and playing basketball. When we played basketball, that was super fun. Horse was beat you. But I love all the sleepovers that we have when it's Christmas time, Ellie. It's always fun. I'm going to miss you because you're just growing up so fast, and I mean, you've always been a beautiful, beautiful woman. I'm so glad that you found camp and all that. I love camp. I mean, thank you for that, finding camp. And Macy. Okay. Macy. But I'm glad that you're my big sister, and I'll always call you whenever I need you and all that. I mean, you are just beautiful. Come on. Thank you, Jim. But God has a great plans for you, and right now He always does. And I love you. I love y'all both. And like I always love to say, always be prepared. And I think you both prepared for a wonderful life. Keep trusting God. Love, Liz.
Where do you want to go? Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth. I'm Jessie, and we're Harrison sisters. If we haven't gotten to say hello to everybody, hello. We're so glad that you guys are here. And thank you, Mom and Dad, for planning this night, and Harrison and Ellie for getting married tomorrow. We're so excited. So we just wanted to take a few minutes. We have so many memories with Harrison from growing up. But kind of like what Dad was saying, we have really been like his three moms, his main mom and then his two older sister moms. But yeah, he really did always say like he was going to marry a brown-headed girl, and he was like, the blondes are way too bossy. Like he had already had three moms with blonde hair. So, but we wanted to go through some of the things that we hope to have taught Harrison over the years. So the first thing that we taught him to appreciate is fashion. So if anyone knows Ellie, you know she is so fashionable, always looks amazing at all times of day. And we were the ones that gave him that appreciation for fashion. We would dress him up in poodle skirts and many princess outfits. He loved to play pretty princess with us. And we really brought it home by painting his nails yellow glittery. But Dad shut that down when he got home. But before he did, we were giving it our best to teach him his fashion that he has. And he still has the 990s as well. The next thing is Harrison has learned patience from us too, I think, as well. Just over the years, going to so many tennis matches, dance recitals, piano recitals. There was always two of us and one of him. So anything that we would go to one game for him and he'd have two for us. So just very patient with us. In going to things and showing up for things, but then also just in the little things too. So definitely patient. Yeah, and next we also taught Harrison the value of hard work, and we taught him to be business-minded. So we, Elizabeth and I started this business called Relaxation While on Vacation. So you would hire us to come check on your house and take your dogs out and do other various little things. But we found that the hardest part of that was picking up the dog poop when you're taking care of dogs. We hated that. We were not going to do that, but it's part of the job. So we figured out, why don't we just take like $1 every time and give it to Harrison, and Harrison can do that part of the job. And he did. So he took the offer. So now he knows that that was not the best business choice. And you're going to be a great accountant because we've taught you to really check out those deals before you take them. And then I think many of you guys know this, but Harrison lived with Ben and I in January through like March this year. And so we taught him just how to help around the house and how to clean up after himself and all those things. And one funny story was one night we were sitting there. Harrison had made dinner, which is so nice. He had made dinner for us. And we were sitting there, we were FaceTiming Ellie. And it was actually Ellie's recipe. And so we were FaceTiming Ellie, eating dinner, and some sauce had gotten on the table. And Harrison, he just takes the sauce and he puts it under the table and starts rubbing it around. And I looked at him and I said, Harrison, what are you doing? What are you doing? And Harrison was like, oh, we do this all the time at ATO. I was like... I said, this is not ATO. This is our house. And so he got the Clorox and he cleaned it out. It was great, Ellie. But we have really tried to prepare him, but I know there's still going to be a lot of work to do along the way. Yeah, so those are just some funny things that we wanted to share. But what we really want to talk about is how much we love you. We could not have dreamed of or imagined a better brother. You are so incredibly kind and loving, and we're so grateful to have you as our brother. Some of the things that stand out to me in you is, number one, that you're fiercely loyal. You are for your people to the end, and you stand up for them and you show up for them, and you're incredibly loyal, and we both value that so much in you. You're also incredibly patient. We joke about all the things that you had to do for us, but truly you are so patient, and it means a ton to all of us to be receiving your patience. And then finally, I just admire how well you spend your time, and how I think one of your love languages is quality time, and so getting to be on the receiving end of that is a huge gift. And I got a little extra time with you in Auburn, which I'm so thankful for. Some of my favorite memories of you are getting to have you over to my house in Auburn your freshman year, and make cookies when it was raining, because we did that growing up, or just sit on the couch if I was having a bad day or you were, or if we're having good days too. Just getting that quality time with you is a gift that I know will be such a wonderful blessing to Ellie too, to get to have your full attention and time with you. It'll be wonderful. Yeah, I agree with that too. And then some other things that I just love about you, Harrison, is that you are always just assuming the best in people and assuming the best. And I think that like goes a long way too with your loyalty, but just that you love so well. And part of that too is just assuming the best and believing the best in people, and you do such a good job with that. And also just that you're always like for the underdog, and you're always like trying to lift people up and encourage them. And we just have seen that time and time again, whether it's like friends, whether it's family, whatever it is, like you just do such a good job with that. So we love you. Yeah, and just to close, we want to share too how much we love Ellie. Ellie, you are a gift to our family, and we love seeing how much Harrison loves you. He adores you, and because of that, we adore you too. And our whole family is so thrilled to be welcoming you in, and just so fun to get another sister, and to see our brother light up and be so happy is just a tremendous blessing. So we're grateful for both of you, and excited for all the memories to come. So cheers to Harrison and Ellie. Yes, cheers to Harrison and Ellie. Cheers.
So for those of y'all who don't know me, my name is John Reese. I'm Ellie's brother. And it's just been a privilege to watch Ellie and Harrison date these last 3 to 4 years. I remember when Ellie was debating even going to Auburn, and I was praying that she would come join me and just have those few years together. I remember the same day that my dad mentioned when she texted us and said, War Eagle. Didn't even say, I'm coming to Auburn, just said War Eagle. And so we just assumed that meant I'm going to Auburn. And I remember when she got to Auburn, a few key moments kind of through the years with her and Harrison and before she met Harrison. So the first moment that I remember was at a tailgate one day, and she walks up with the game day date. And we were like, Ellie, who is this guy? Thank goodness that it is not the guy that she is with today. And that lasted that one game day, and that was it. And so I remember a few weeks later, Ellie and I went to Bow and Arrow for dinner together. And within 5 minutes, she had told me about this guy, Harrison, that she had gone to a date party with, and maybe they had gone on a date at this point. And she said, I'm going to marry this guy. And so I said, well, I'm sure you are, because if Ellie says something, then she does it. Just like she said she was, going to go to speech pathology and do all these different things. She sets her mind to it, and she does it, and she does it exceptionally. And the same thing with Harrison. She has done. She has high standards, and Harrison meets those standards. And so I don't remember exactly the first time that I met Harrison, but I do remember the first time that I golfed with Harrison. And if you have golfed with Harrison, it can be extremely frustrating because it's very hard to understand how a guy loves the game of golf, but acts so happy in every circumstance. The guy can literally double bogey and walk off with the biggest smile on his face that you've ever seen. And I really thought to myself, like, wow, this guy is like pretty good at golf, but he just doesn't love it. But the truth is that everyone who knows Harrison knows that that's just his personality, and everyone loves him for it. And so I'm really thankful for that. And another thing that I want to share about Harrison is the day that he called me and told me that he was planning to ask Ellie to marry him. And I was on the boat with my friend Spencer heading back from the golf course. And I had him on speaker, and I said, Harrison, you're on speaker, by the way. I said, Spencer's here. And he said, oh, all good. And he gives the greatest speech that I have ever heard about how much he loves Ellie and how much that that he loves our family and that he just wants to spend the rest of his life with Ellie, gives me dates to choose to come to Nashville for him to ask Ellie to marry him and make sure that it's going to work with my work schedule, thinking about everything besides himself that he possibly can, and that is just Harrison. He just thinks of everyone more than himself at all times. And so I was really thankful for that, and Spencer looked at me and said, dang, wow, like, that just makes sense with Ellie. And so I'm really thankful for that. And, you know, it's no shocker that everyone loves you so much, but what I'm most thankful for is the way that you love Ellie. And I've seen that through the time that I've spent with y'all together, the time that I've spent with you individually and hearing how you talk about Ellie. And I'm really thankful for that. Ellie has high standards, as everyone in this room knows, and you could not meet those standards and those qualities better than I ever imagined. I mean, Harrison, we're just so glad to have you, and I'm glad to have you as a brother, and we're just all very thankful. Ellie, I'm so excited for you. Harrison, I'm so excited for you. And so with that, I'd like everybody to raise a glass to Ellie and Harrison.
Hey everybody, I'm Ben Burnside. I'm one of Harrison's brothers-in-laws, married to Elizabeth. So the first time I met Harrison, you've got to rewind the clock back about 10 years. And so to picture that, I'm a freshman at Georgia. There's a lot of Auburn talk, which is a little painful, but that's okay. I'm a freshman at Georgia. Harrison is, I think, an 8th grader in middle school. And we're driving, Elizabeth and I are, from Athens to Charlotte to meet the Floyds for the first time. So 19-year-old guy driving to meet Mr. Floyd, it's like a very nerve-wracking weekend for me. But I've got an agenda, and it's basically spend a bunch of time with the parents, get to know them, and get like an indirect blessing to date Elizabeth. And we show up, and I meet Mr. and Mrs. Floyd, and then I meet Harrison. And my plan for that weekend took a pretty hard pivot when I met Harrison. And we spent the next 48 hours hanging out, the two of us, basically the entire time. It's not a lot of parent time, but a lot of Harrison time. And we did a lot of things that weekend, but the primary thing that we did is we played this game that we made up that's called Impossible. And it's a billiards game. We probably spent like 15 hours playing this game while we were there. It was a blast. It's hard, as you'd imagine. It's impossible. And we played for 10 hours. We probably won once or twice. We've done a million things since then, golf trips, ski trips. I lived with Harrison, his parents, when I lived in Charlotte. He lived with us when he was in Nashville. And I love you a lot. But it all started with Impossible. And so sitting here today, I can tell you, Harrison, that you have won at Impossible. It's hard, but you've done it. And so Impossible, briefly, is a billiards game. And if you picture a billiards table, there's 6 pockets. You put a ball on the edge of each pocket. Then you take 4 balls, you put it at the far end of the table in a diamond shape, and then the table is set. To win the game, you place the cue on the table. You have to knock in all 6 surrounding the table perfectly, without missing, without scratching, without hitting the wrong ball. Then the ball is live. You break the diamond. You knock in all 4. Again, no mistakes. And so you've won. You've done it. And here's how you've done it. So let's talk about how you were placed on this earth, right? You had a few gifts that gave you a heads up, and we've heard it tonight. You're a handsome to-be husband. You're smart. You're loyal. You're kind. You can hit the ball 320 plus, which is important to the Ham family. I know that. Yeah, and Ralph can shoot his age, so you got something to aspire to. So you had a good start. But then you got to knock in the 6 surrounding the table, and you had a pretty good surrounding too. Strong faith, strong family, great friends, great community. So they help set you up for success. You knock those 6 in, the ball is live, you play it where it lies, and you happen to be in Auburn, Alabama. Now, I've since learned that Harrison and Ellie met at a merge. So you got a diamond that you got to go after. So it's not a break, it's more of a merge, but you break the diamond, it goes pretty well. because we're sitting here today, and you got 4 left. 4 left to make. As we heard multiple times, Ellie had her eye on Harrison. Harrison also had his eye on Ellie. So that was a little bit of teamwork. You knocked the last 3 in. You got 1 left. It's sitting on the edge, and you'll knock it in tomorrow. So 10 years since that moment, 11 perfect shots tomorrow. You've done a pretty good job. But the funny thing about Impossible is it's really, really hard to win on your first time. We played for 10 hours. We won once or twice. And so thank God that life is not impossible. And he can use imperfect people like us to play out his perfect will, which is you guys and what we'll celebrate tomorrow. So I love you a lot. I love you too, Ellie. You guys are a great pair. It's been 10 amazing years, and I can't wait to see what God does with you guys 10 more. So we love you.
Cheers.
All right, so Mr. Floyd wanted me to sing tonight, but I realized last night we heard from John Reese, and he's a lot better than I am. So I'll leave that to you, John Reese, tomorrow, and spare everybody in here. But yeah, as I was thinking about tonight and what I was going to say, a couple words came to mind about you, Harrison. And the first one was dedication. And I remember it was early on. I think we were visiting. I was dating Jesse, so I drove from Nashville. You and your mom drove from Charlotte. I think Mr. Floyd was playing golf somewhere. And we get to Auburn, and you're captain of the soccer team. You're the goalie, starting goalie. And it was around the summer, so you're getting ready for the fall season. And we get to Auburn, and we're like, let's do this. Let's go to dinner. Let's go to eat. And then you're like, no, I got to run a mile. Like, I got to do this in Auburn. And I was like, Harrison, you can take a break. It's a Saturday. Like, you're fine. And he's like, no, this is a challenge that the soccer team did, and I'm the leader. I got to set the example. And they weren't there. I'm like, you can take off. They're not going to see you. But you ran that mile, and good for you for doing that. Another story about dedication that came to my mind was Harrison, chose wisely with Auburn. Got swayed a little bit to Georgia, but chose wisely. And I call him, checking in on him first couple weeks at Auburn. I'm like, how's it going? It's a 9-game day, Saturday. And he's like, man, it's going great. Like, I'm loving it. And I'm like, well, what are you doing right now? And he goes, I'm in the library. And I was like, that's great. That's awesome. You're studying. He's like, I'm actually in the archives studying ATO history. And I was like, I don't even know where the archives are. Like, that's amazing. And so you're dedicated to ATO, and you're really going to be dedicated to Ellie because that's just you. Another word that comes to mind is caring. And everybody in this room that knows Harrison well knows that he's super caring. I couldn't think of a certain story for this because that's just your life. That's who you are. And you lead by example with this. You cared for me when I came into the family. You're asking intentional questions. You're always for people. Like in high school when I saw you, in college, you're truly for people and you really care about people. And that's hard to find. And so you're super caring. Ellie, I know you knew on the first date that you wanted to marry Harrison, but I think Harrison was kind of questioning this because he sent you to ride in a car with me for 7 hours to Charlotte. I think that was your test because who does that? I mean, it's just me and Ellie. I remember Miss Ham. So Harrison wanted Ellie to go to Charlotte. This might have been one of your first times to Charlotte. I think it was your first. And Miss Ham drives to Nashville, drops Ellie off. Miss Ham, I hadn't met you yet. I don't think I've barely met Ellie. I think I met you once before. And she drops Ellie off in this driveway, and my car's running, and say, hey, Miss Ham, nice to meet you. And then Ellie's off in the car with me to Charlotte, North Carolina. And we had a good conversation, and it was during COVID, so there's lockdown. You stop at the gas station, you wipe your hands off, touch the gas pump, and then you're off again. But we had a great time. We went through the top 100 of Spotify, and you made it through. You made it through the ride with me. So that's when Harrison, I think, actually really knew that you were the one. Man, I could say so much, but I'm just super excited for both of y'all. Y'all are great together, and this is a special night, and marriage is such a gift. And Harrison, I said this on the bachelor party, but you're like a brother to me, and you're not just like you're like a friend to me. You're not just a little brother to me, and I could say that because I love hanging out with you. I genuinely enjoy it. It's not just I'm married to Jesse, so Harrison's in the family, so I got to hang out with him. I would love to hang out with you, and you're a good friend. And John Reese, you get a great brother and a great friend. So I'm excited for the Ham family as well. But let's raise a glass and cheers to Harrison and Ellie. And I think we're going to open it up a little bit. If anybody else wants to talk, you can come grab the mic.
Hello, everyone. My name is Macy. I'm one of Ellie's bridesmaids, and I'm so excited to be here tonight and this weekend to celebrate you both. Ellie and I met almost 10 years ago at camp, which is so crazy to think about. Over the years at camp, we built a beautiful friendship that I'm so thankful for, but little did I know that 10 years later, I get to have the honor and privilege to stand next to you on your special day. And Ellie, you are just such a special friend to me. There's so many amazing things about you that I'm sure everyone in this room has experienced, how loving and kind you are. But the one thing that stands out to me the most about you is how intentional of a friend you are. It's not easy to have a long distance friendship for the entirety of the friendship, but I've always appreciated just how intentional you are with texting me to check in or calling me or even making sure that we make time to see each other every year. And this past year, we've gotten to see each other a lot more, which has been super fun. But yeah, I really appreciate that aspect of you. And you're just such a thoughtful and kind and loyal friend. I've loved walking through each season of life with you the past 10 years, even if it's been from a distance, even if it's been on the phone or, surprising each other at home. But one of my favorite seasons has been this season, just watching you and Harrison. I was actually at Auburn visiting you the night that Harrison asked you to be his girlfriend. And that was such a special memory to get to experience with you in person. And I have just loved getting to watch you two grow in your relationship. And Harrison, I've loved getting to know you as well, even though we haven't gotten to spend a ton of time together. I've loved all the memories that we've had together so far. And one of the things that I appreciate the most about you as well is your intentionality with Ellie's friends. Even as someone like me who you don't see all the time, you always make it a point to make me feel loved and cared for. And you really do a great job of loving Ellie's friends like they're your own. And I think that really stands out and is such a great quality to have. And I am honored to get to just celebrate with both of you this weekend, and I'm so excited to see what the Lord has in store for both of you.
Totally unplanned. But you have to be moved by the Spirit. And I'm so happy to be here. I'm Harrison's grandmother. And there are many things I can say about Harrison. But one thing, speaking of the generations, with Harrison's, there's no generational gap. He's kindest to the least and to the eldest. And I've never seen anything different about that. And that's really a quality that not very many people have. And of course, Harrison's a leader. But I have to say that one of the things I gave Harrison in a little bag of a keepsake was a medicine dropper. I've never seen anybody go through much trials of sickness like you did when you were little, and you came out all of it on top. But I don't know why I kept that through the years, but just as a reminder of how good God is to bring you to the healing, to his healing. And the one thing really funny I always think about Harrison is that when he was a little tot, we went to the restaurant and I took him into the bathroom with me, and he said, Nana, he said, you know what? You wouldn't look too old if your hands didn't look like that and your neck wasn't like that. I've never forgotten that. So, Harrison, I never thought that you would calm down, but you have God through working on all of us. He's produced a fine young man. And Ellie, he got a great pick in you, and perfect answer to prayer, and vice versa for Harrison. Both of y'all are just handpicked for one another. So be blessed. And one last thing is, some of you may know this and some of you may not, but Isaiah 62 is a prayer effort going along throughout the earth right now that only God could do. And when I read that scripture, for Harry knows, for 31 years, I lived at an address 6210, and after I moved from there, the Lord said, you've been living in Isaiah 62:10 for many years. Well, here it comes back around again. And to say that Harrison, when I read that, Isaiah 62 verse 6, it said, and this is for you, Ellie and Harrison, it says, as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so the bridegroom rejoices over you.
Wow. Cheers. I think we'll take one more. Thomas, are you doing it? All right, man.
If you let me talk, I'd love to talk. I could talk for hours about this man right here.
Correction, we're going to do some more.
Well, good thing. Like I said, I could talk for hours about this man over here. If y'all don't know me, my name is Thomas. I'm been friends with Harrison since elementary school, and in Charlotte growing up with a couple other boys that are here with us from Charlotte. But if y'all didn't know Harrison early on, he was kind of a little shy and in his shell. And we got a group of friends back home, like I mentioned, that have been friends since about middle school. And he wasn't a part of our friend group early on. And we had a couple friends that he was more close with at school that said, hey, let's add Harrison to this group. And the other guys were like, sure, why not? I mean, we've known him for a while, but we've never really gotten to know him very well. So one of these nights, Harrison comes over to my house. We come over to play basketball and in my driveway. And he was bigger than most of us, and we were in 8th, 9th grade, whenever it was. And this kid was just dominating us in our driveway. And we're like, we got to rethink inviting this kid next time to these basketball, these groups. But ever since then, we've been growing closer and closer together as friends. And I can't express how much love I have for you and how great of a guy you are. But I wanted to say, so when we formed this group, we're going through high school together, and some of us are getting girlfriends, and they're on and off, and high school relationships and all that kind of stuff. And then we go off to college, and we're thinking, who's going to get married first? Everybody thinks about that right away. It's like, who do you think is going to be the one to get married first? And we never thought Harrison until he met this girl over here. And so he meets this girl, and we're like, it's got to be Harrison. And because Harrison's always been kind of the dad of the group and been the more mature one than all of us and keeping us in line. And we're like, all he's got to do is meet a girl. And we get word that he meets this girl. And we didn't think, or unfortunately didn't get to spend enough time with Ellie during college, but hopefully she comes to visit the boys in Charlotte sometime. We get to know her a little more. But we know what Harrison's told us, and we trust Harrison enough to know that she's the best girl for him. And we've seen the kind of effect that she's had on him, because he used to be kind of the wild one in the group, and all of a sudden he started not coming a little more and started being a little calm and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, man, this girl's getting him in line. You never know. But just here to say that I love you two so much. And Harrison, I'm so thankful that we've gotten so much closer over the years and bonding over our love of golf and our love of Waylon Jennings and cowboy boots and all that good stuff. So thankful for you two, and thankful for you, Ellie, and thankful that you're in his life, and that I know you guys are going to have a happy marriage, and he's going to be the best husband he can be and the best dad he can be eventually. And so, yeah, here's to y'all. Love you guys.
Johnny.
Thank you. So I thought it would be interesting to say 3 words that I thought best depicted who Harrison was tonight. And the first one was genuine. And I know as guys, we never really call each other genuine, but Harrison is just so genuine. And a story about that I could share actually happened the other day. I knocked on his door. It was about 10:30 at night. And I saw his light was on. And I opened the door. He was clearly going to bed. But I asked if he wanted to hang out. And we went in my room, hung out, had bourbon for about an hour and a half. And I just clearly ruined his plan for the night to get some sleep. But he's just so genuine in his relationships with people and just being so intentional. And I think that story really just depicts that. The second word I thought of was knowledgeable. I feel like I learned so much whenever I'm with Harrison. And the funny thing is, honestly, I heard recently that Harrison didn't watch SpongeBob as a kid, but he watched the History Channel. And and I can say with confidence that I would love my kids to watch the History Channel too, so maybe I can learn from them. And then the last word is loving. Harrison is just so loving to our friends, to Ellie, to strangers, but most importantly, he loves the Lord with all his heart. And I just know that that word just depicts you so well. So I'm just forever grateful for a friend and a brother you are to me. So cheers, Harrison and Ellie.
Sorry for all the Harrison people. Ellie, I swear I'll mention you a lot in this story. Well, I've known Harrison for a long time, since we were little, and with that, I've learned a lot of things, and Ellie, I'm excited to share some of them with you. But, I was thinking through the stuff that I could share, and some of the stuff I probably can't share in front of this crowd, so I'll be setting up a booth at the wedding. It's $1 per blackmail story, so just come up to me, and I'll be sure to do that. But yeah, something about Harrison. He's always been first, and he's always been better than me at everything. And he's older than me. He got his license first. He turned 21 first, had his first beer when he turned 21. I don't know if you knew that, but turned in assignments first. My parents probably don't want to hear that one, but he was better at soccer. I would sit on the sidelines and mark every time he would save a goal because I wasn't out there playing with them. We did theater. Believe it or not, Harrison wasn't a theater kid. Neither was I, but one day we go and we're like, hey, let's just audition. Next thing you know, Harrison gets the lead role, and I'm just singing like ensemble in the back for him. That was an ego hurt. I got ego death that day. He's better at golf, as he is than most people in this room. And of course, he's first to marriage and probably the best at it. And there's one moment in my life where this idea of him being better and first at me kind of changed. And I started realizing that he was just competitive. He was just the most competitive person in the room at all times. And there was one moment, we worked on this summer job. It was a construction job. Normally, construction jobs are OSHA certified to make sure everyone's safe. This was OSHA non-certified. So what we kind of did was we ripped cinder block off of the walls. We made little digging for footers. We painted. We honestly cut steel while also standing on the same steel that we were cutting. I don't think that made any sense. I remember looking over one day and seeing Harrison standing on this long steel beam. He was just cutting in between his legs. I was like, what's going to happen when he cuts that off? He's just going to fall. We were on the second story, too. But it was at this moment I realized that you weren't better than me and that this wasn't a bad thing. So Ellie, I have some unbeatable advice for you, and your marriage counselor may call this manipulation, but I call it manipulation, because there's some things that a boy can't really turn down. And that advice is this: Whenever you want him to do something for you, whether it's chores or something around the house, like time him. Make it a competition. Be like, I bet you can't do this under a minute. I promise you he will do it. Harrison, in all seriousness, there's a reason I always see you in this way, and it's because I look up to you more than a brother. The man that you are today and the man that you continue to grow into is an example for all of us. And Ellie, you're a perfect example of that. That competitive spirit, because Harrison has found someone for himself that withstands all competition. Ellie, you're a dream to Harrison, and you're a dream to everyone that knows him. Thank you for choosing him, and thank you for everything. A testament to how much Harrison loves Ellie is that no matter what she will always do, she will always win. So Ellie, all I ask is that whenever you make Harrison tell you that you were right and he was wrong, just send us a couple videos of him admitting that. It'll make us all better. But thank you guys. Wish you all the best.
Hey everyone, I'm Ellie, or the other Ellie. I've known Ellie since birth, and I can't tell you how many times growing up people thought I was telling a story in third person until the realization hit that I had a friend named Ellie, and I wasn't just telling like a really weird story about myself. So I've loved sharing a name with her. It's been a really fun part of our relationship. So now that you know I'll be talking about Ellie Ham, I want to tell you a story. It was my sophomore year and Ellie's freshman year, and I was an RA at my school, Samford University. I was working an office shift when I got a phone call from Ellie. And if you know me or Ellie or our friend Morgan, we're the kind of people who have to schedule like a 30-minute phone call a week in advance because our lives are just insanely busy. So I knew that if she was calling me at all out of the blue, that it had to be pretty important. So we talked for a bit about school and her first year at Auburn, and I was in a new relationship with my now husband, Nathaniel. And I was thinking, okay, like, let's get to the chase. Like, what's going on here? And that's when she said, so I met this guy named Harrison, and I really feel like he's the man I'm going to marry one day. I was surprised. I was a little shocked, but honestly, really, like, not too surprised, because Ellie has always been so honest with me, and I knew if she felt that strongly about him then there wasn't a doubt in my mind that it was going to happen. I've seen Ellie through so many stages of life, and I can confidently say that within each of those stages, she has been determined, driven, gracious, and faithful. She always listens to the Holy Spirit's guiding in her life and seeks wise counsel from others. That's why even though I wasn't able to meet Harrison for a while, I was never worried, because she's been praying for the Lord to place someone in her life that seeks to follow his will in the same manner she does. And she won't settle for anything less, as we've heard from so many other people. And I'm so happy to say that now that I do know Harrison, I truly believe the Lord has designed them uniquely for one another. Ellie stood by me last year on one of my lowest days at my dad's funeral after he passed unexpectedly. She then stood by me a little over a month later as I married my husband, Nathaniel. She has truly been there for my best and worst days and everything in between. There's nowhere else I'd rather be in the world right now than here celebrating you and Harrison. I love you both so much, and Nathaniel and I are praying for you, and we're so proud of y'all. Thank you.
Thanks. Hey everybody, I'm Morgan, and Ellie is one of my childhood friends. We've been friends for as long as I can remember. She bit me in the church nursery, and we've been friends ever since. Ellie and I have spent a lot of time together playing baby dolls, carrying bitty babies around town way older than we should have been, and playing adoption agency, and just spending so much time together playing skip bow, and spending our summers together. I'm so thankful for her friendship. She's always loved the Lord and just shown the Lord in her life, and it's been so evident that her whole life is to pursue the Lord. We used to have bake sales to raise money for Kisses for Katie, and it's just been so evident in her childhood, but also as we're friends now. We've been separated with different colleges, different countries, different schools growing up, and she's been such a faithful friend. She always remembers details of crazy stories you tell her. She checks in, and she's just so intentional with all of her family and friends and the community that she's surrounded with. She's so hardworking, and as we've all said, she is so determined and gets whatever she puts her mind to and works so hard for it. And I'm so thankful to have had a friend like that. Harrison, I've only met you a few times, and we all just love you. You're so kind and so caring, and you love Ellie. And that's all that we could ever ask for Ellie. And we just love you so much. So I'm very thankful to head into this new season with both of you and see what that looks like.
Hey y'all, I'm Mary Griffith, and I'm also one of Ellie's bridesmaids. So if y'all didn't know, Ellie and I met about 4 years ago at something called Camp War Eagle, which is Auburn's orientation before the start of college. And if you know Ellie or I, you know that we can sometimes be a little bit type A. So needless to say, we bonded over our stress that we wouldn't get the schedule we wanted and would simply have to drop out of Auburn. But not only did we get our classes we wanted and live through the stress and the tears, we began a friendship that I knew would be something special and meaningful. Ellie is one of those people who you know right off the bat that you want in your corner. She's loyal, thoughtful, encouraging, and a true friend. She was by my side all the way from freshman year to now, from game days, socials, lunch dates, Zoom classes, early morning study sessions, being accepted into speech pathology school, and everything in between. Through all these fun memories, Ellie was a consistent source of wisdom and friendship. She was the friend who I could laugh with the hardest and cry with the deepest, and her impact on my life is something that simply cannot be measured. Psalm 34:5 says that those who look to God are radiant, and Ellie embodies this beautifully. Her outward beauty is matched by all the more inward beauty and grace, and I know she's going to be the most beautiful bride tomorrow. Now, I know I've mentioned Ellie a lot, but trust me, Harrison tagged along for some of these adventures too, or should I say I got to tag along with Ellie and Harrison. It has been such a joy getting to see how well they're suited for each other and how well they serve not only one another, but also each person around them. Y'all's relationship has already been a testament to the goodness of God, and y'all's marriage will only amplify this goodness and its glory. And Harrison, I can promise you that there's no one better to have by your side today, tomorrow, and all of y'all's days to come. I'm so honored to be celebrating y'all and love y'all so much.
I see there. We'll try and keep this pretty short because if we really got started, I think we could be here till tomorrow morning. But my name is Lance Levine. I've gotten the pleasure of knowing Harrison and Ellie kind of from the beginning. Since a lot of the stories that you've heard, I was the original third wheel freshman year, so I got to be a part of some of these car trips and just a lot of the journeys. But man, really, I got three things to say. One, so many of us, and especially the guys in the room, will understand there's a lot of things that you pray for your house and for your friends and for your brothers. And in 1 John writes, for those that abide in love, for God is love, and those who abide in love abide in God, and God abides in them. So truly, that has been our prayer from the very beginning, through Harrison walking me through my engagement and my marriage, to now getting to return the favor. And I'm confident that the Lord will abide in y'all's house and in y'all's marriage because y'all have abided in love more than most people I've ever met in my life. So just want to say that and speak that into y'all. So as many of y'all know and have been proven through these stories, Harrison and Ellie, the cool thing of speaking over Harrison is you're kind of speaking the same things over Ellie because they are very, very similar in a lot of fundamental ways. But two, man, these are two people. This is a man and a woman that would do anything for anybody at any time. And we could go to stories, some fun, some a little bit more sad, but just as sweet in proof. But seriously, that statement alone is not enough. Is not enough to embody what that actually means in y'all. But truly would give their life up in a second. If it meant that somebody else would feel love in that way. And three, Ellie, I'm very confident I can stand here as a witness, just like so many others in this room, that you will be embodied and loved and fulfilled in a marriage because of the way that Harrison will love you, because that is the way that Harrison has loved us as brothers for so many years. Love y'all. Cheers.
Awesome. My name is Carter. I'm one of Harrison's pledge brothers, and like Lance said, there's really not enough we can fit in tonight to say about Harrison and Ellie, but all I got to say is that Harrison was just an answered prayer coming to college, just a guy who was strong in his faith, and a rock that I could lean on as a friendship was something that I desperately prayed for coming to college and then joining a fraternity. And it just showed itself from the very beginning in the way that he treated others and the way that he put others before himself, like so many people have already said. It's the light for the Lord in his life just shone so bright, and in every conversation and in every act that Harrison, every encounter that you have with him, it just shines through everything he does and who he is as a person. And in the way in our fraternity at ATO, he served as vice president, and he gave his heart to not only the fraternity but each and every guy in the fraternity. And it's a lot of difficult people you have to deal with in the strain of a year, and just to watch him just lead a group of college guys who are who are lost and broken, and to show them the love that and the kindness, regardless whether he was receiving it in return or not, just to see him lead others and be that mature spiritual leader for guys his age. And it was just, living with him this last year, it's just something that has truly opened my eyes and opened my heart to who he is and who the Lord is when you're, a willing vessel for him. And so I'm just so thankful for his friendship and the love that he showed me, and how the Lord has shone so brightly through him. And I'm just so thankful for Ellie and her friendship that we've had. And Ellie is the same way. Every encounter you have with Ellie and every conversation, the Lord shines so brightly through her. And so I'm just so thankful for Harris and Ellie, and just the opportunity to just be alongside them tomorrow as a groomsman. And just love y'all, and cheers.
So my name is Connor, and I was Harris's roommate for a year. And I just want to talk about how loyal of a friend you are. So my first year, I was in their pledge class, all of them, and I dropped because my parents forced me to. But I'll never forget the day I'm sitting in the library and I'm studying, and all of a sudden Harrison comes out of nowhere and just sits with me. I'm sitting alone just studying because I was just there, and you came and sat with me. You told me about your book about building golf courses. I was like, that's cool. And I was like, he's a cool guy. And then, I probably didn't see you till the next year. And then I would sit in your room, same way as Lance and everybody. Y'all protected me. And then we started playing. I think you found out I played golf. We started playing golf together and all that. Then I would never forget when you showed up at 221 and you said, hey, let's go to Vail. And I've never snowboarded, never done any of that. And he came over and planned the trip, and we show up there. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. We get there, and I'm scared of heights. Didn't realize how high the mountain is. So the first day, I'm rolling down the hill with Carter, and me and Carter just screaming at each other. And then the next day, so we were there, we snowboarded for 3 days. Harrison's like, let's go to Gopher Hill. And that's where I kind of learned how to snowboard there. I did, a little bit. But you sat there with me with the 5-year-olds for about an hour and a half. We were just going up and down a hill. And you just taught me that. And, you're just you were always there. And for a year, we lived together. And you were the most loyal friend. I was in engineering. That junior year was one of my hardest years. And you come in my room, you check on me, and you would ask me to go do stuff, even when I'm dead tired. I was always tired. But you get me to go out, you get me to go hang out with people when I didn't want to, and you were always there for me, and I'll always be so thankful for that. You were such a great influence in my life, and I couldn't have You were an answered prayer. You were like, my parents were always worried about me being in a fraternity, but you're one of my best friends. You will always be, and I can't be thankful enough for that. And like even this last year, like we were just still like even living across the hall, we were still best friends, and it was awesome. And I mean, I will always look back and be so grateful for the times we had in college and everything. And hopefully we still play golf every year. I'll be wherever you are, I'm coming. So, and Ellie, I'll never forget when me and Carter, like they all took off from the Dallas airport and it was just us three. And I remember when you left, we hung out and we got lunch or whatever, dinner. And I looked at Carter, I said, Harrison is so lucky. He is. Like, she is the sweetest girl. He is so lucky to have her. And I'm so thankful y'all have each other. I really am. So, Harrison and Ellie.
Hey everybody, I'm Brooks. I'm one of Harrison's Pledge Brothers also, but even more important than that, I'm one of his county friends. So I'm about to build off a little bit what Elizabeth and Jesse said about Harrison being a business-minded person. I hate to say this, but he chose the wrong firm, so if you understand accounting or finance in this world, but he chose PwC, but EY is a superior firm, so just I hope everyone knows that. Just wanted to say that, just for clarification. But man, Harrison and Ellie, I genuinely love y'all so much, man. I'm so appreciative of who y'all are to me and just the way that you've formed and just shaped me into a man that I am today and just the friend that I am to y'all. And I'm just so beyond thankful for who y'all are and the way that y'all have impacted my life in every which way. So I'm about to build off a little bit what Jonathan said about Harrison being the historian. I don't know if anybody's ever had the honor of having a long car ride with Harrison. But I've had the privilege of doing two, one to Houston and one back to Charlotte. I learned a little bit too much about South Carolina and North Carolina on my way back, riding with Harrison. I learned a little more facts than I wanted to know. But, I mean, the whole car ride, I mean, Harrison was just spitting facts. I mean, I just sat there and just listened to him. I was like, this man knows more about the history of North Carolina, South Carolina, just anything in general. I was like, how does this guy know this much about this? It's unbelievable. I was just like, this is amazing. But just taking that car ride with him, I mean, a 7-hour car ride, 10-hour car ride. I mean, it just felt like it just flew by, and that just speaks to just who Harrison is. He's so genuine. He's just so personable. I mean, Harrison, you have one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen, man. And I just appreciate that friendship and who you are to me. We could spend that time and just talk about anything. I feel comfortable enough talking to you about whatever, and you feel the same way about me, and I just appreciate that so much. It's hard to feel that comfortable with anybody, and you're one person that I can sit there and just rely on in any situation to talk about whatever. And for that, brother, I love you. I love you like you're my own brother, and I'm just so thankful that Auburn and ATO and just that brought us together, man. I've known you for 3.5 years, but I feel like I've known you all my 22 years on this. It's just crazy. Just a friendship that we formed in this short time in life. And Ellie, I feel like the whole time I've known Harrison, you've been a part of it. And the way that you've impacted Harrison and the way you just influenced him in every which way, like I've been able to see that. It's so evident. And I'm just so blessed because the way that you've impacted Harrison has influenced my friendship with Harrison. And I just see that in every which way. And Ellie, I'm so thankful for that. I can't wait to see where y'all's life head, and I hope that you know that I'm always there for y'all. I love y'all so much. I'm always there. Any phone call away. Cheers to y'all.
We'll wrap up the evening. You've been super generous with your time and with your words of kindness, and it's been a joy for Allison and I to just sit back and listen. But I'm going to turn it over to Harrison. I know he wants to say a few words on behalf of himself and Ellie, and we'll wrap up the evening, and you guys enjoy the rest of the festivities and the worship tomorrow.
Thank you guys so much for being here for me and Ellie. This is a really special time, and I would love to just sit here for the next 5 hours and just tell stories and laugh and cry and but at some point we got to sleep. So, but for me and Ellie, it means so much for every single one of y'all to be here. Every single one of y'all have had an impact on our lives and made us the people who we are now. And we wouldn't be here without y'all. Just truly, truly I think from me and Ellie, I thank every single one of y'all for being here, for loving us, for always being there for us, just being available, being loyal, being loving. I really appreciate y'all and love y'all. So if there's anything else, I'll pray us out and just ask the Lord's blessing on tomorrow. So, Lord, thank you for your faithfulness and your steadfastness, Lord, and thank you that, Lord, we can rely on you. We fail every day, Lord, and we're not strong enough to deal with the weight of this world, Lord, the weight of sin, the weight of just everyday life, Lord. And we just pray and trust that, Lord, you are steadfast through this marriage, Lord. Know that you will be. And Lord, we pray that not only that you sustain this marriage, Lord, and sustain me and Ellie's love, but also, Lord, that you use our love and use our marriage to, Lord, project yourself to the world. Use our marriage as a light, Lord. And amen. Thank you, Lord. Amen.